so, you know, it happens.
Jalen Hurts was asked if the Super Bowl win made him more confident. This is what he said.
When you get a promotion, do you think you're more confident? Everybody's dream is to do that, and so once you know that you can, you know, it brings a sense of assurance that you can. It's a matter of, you know, if I've done it before, why couldn't I do it again?
Brew? More likely Jalen does or does not win another Super Bowl.
Well, I will say I like the confidence.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I'm not going to say like. It's hard to win multiple Super Bowls. Ask Aaron Rodgers. Ask Dan Marino. Didn't even win one. So I don't know if I want to say it's likely he wins another. But I will say my belief is that he will win another Super Bowl. I think he will. Of the 13 quarterbacks that have won multiple Super Bowls, he can be as good or better than 7 of them. And I know you probably know the list.
Oh, yeah, but I want to hear your 7.
Well, you want the 7 he could be as good as?
Yeah.
Okay. Some people want Terry Bradshaw.
Oh.
Who didn't have tremendous, he won an MVP, but his regular season.
I wouldn't have started there.
No. Terry, well, they're all great. Yeah. Aikman, Bart Starr, Bob Greasy, Eli Manning, Jim Plunkett, and Ben Roethlisberger. So I think he can be as good, if not better, as good as all of them.
So I disagree.
I didn't watch a lot of Bart Starr, but I did play against coach against Ben
I watched Bart Starr.
No, it's Ben Roethlisberger.
You probably covered them.
So I was surprised, just real quick, the reason I was surprised is I had 3 guys that I believe he is going to end up considered better than that are on that list.
Eli, Plunkett.
And Greasy. Eli, Plunkett, and Greasy. I think that I think Terry is so tough because the game was so different. Yes. Yeah. And it was also like his passing numbers are going to look like he had a Super Bowl.
But even relative to that
I know,
time,
but he also was stylistically, I'm not trying to get into Terry Bradshaw discussion. I know you're going to get mad.
I like Terry
But
Bradshaw.
he also had I think he had a Super Bowl where he was 9 of 19 for 200 yards, which means the complete. It was just bombs.
But he was so clutch.
Exactly.
But
so
a lot
clutch.
like Jalen.
So I wouldn't have said Terry. The Aikmans, I probably also would not have said. I think it's interesting the other 6, you're just vetoing him the possibility.
Brady, Montana, Mahomes, Elway, Staubach, and Peyton.
Yeah, I agree.
He's not going to be as good.
But Eli is an interesting one because they are not at all similar stylistically and they're not at all similar pedigree-wise. Eli was the #1 pick of the draft. Where they are similar is Eli was excellent in those biggest moments in those playoff runs. Now, he had an odd playoff career because he won playoff games in 2 seasons ever. Right. 2 years he won the Super Bowl. Every other year he didn't win a playoff game. The quarterback that I have comped him to is Russ, and Russ obviously could have won a second one. Now, you could argue, and Jalen could have won a second one, it just was the first one. You know what I mean?
They both made big mistakes.
Right, and they both made in different spots big mistakes. I would be surprised if Jalen ends up being considered better than Ben Roethlisberger, which is where I think you were going with it. I do, though, think the Eagles are a great organization with a great GM, and they're going to
right now they got a great team for several next few years.
They're going to be in the mix over the next few years.
Yeah, so that's I didn't break down the list and look back at those quarterbacks. I looked at this more from the fact that they've been to 3 out of the last 8 Super Bowls. They've been to the playoffs 7 out of the last 8 years. Okay, so those are 2 things. They've won 2 of those Super Bowls, and they've won with 2 different quarterbacks and 2 different head coaches. So to me, it's about the organization, and he has shown that he can win within this organization. So in my mind, yeah, he can definitely win another Super Bowl as long as this organization stays the way that it's been. They won those Super Bowls and have had that success without a Brady and without a Mahomes. So, yeah, that's where I took it as opposed to him versus other quarterbacks.
Right.
It's him within this organization.
My list is similar to yours, but I just did since Jalen's been in the league. So this is the list, and we've shown this a few times, multiple Super Bowl starts in their first 5 seasons. So the list is Brady, Hurts, Mahomes, Russ, Ben, Kurt, John Elway, and Troy Aikman. And then Josh said,
what do you mean it's since Jalen's been in the league?
Sorry, first for your first 5 seasons.
Amount of time.
These players
They did not actually play.
I didn't know.
Sorry,
Does
the first
Mahomes
5
include his first year
Yeah.
he didn't play.
Yeah. So then we sort of drew this out to what did they do for the rest of their career, and everybody except Russ got to another Super Bowl. So historically, Jalen is in this category, and it would be strange if he didn't get to at least one.
Get to another.
Get to one. Maybe not win,
Yeah,
but if he got to another one, I'd consider that, a win for his career.
Oh, for sure.
And then, 3 guys got to multiple.
So
I would say it's very likely that he gets to another one.
So here is a cap piece that I have to include because I think it's interesting because how the Eagles do things. So we talk sometimes, we don't really very much on the show because Wilds thinks it's bad TV. He's right. Talk about like cap mechanics and void years and stuff like that. People that actually care.
You don't like that?
No, he doesn't want it.
It's a lean-in moment for me.
But just hang on for me.
What
for a
about
second.
dead cap?
Exactly. Well, it's all fruit of the same poisonous tree. So the way the Eagles do business, and Jeffrey Lurie, give him credit for not minding spending a bunch of cash.
Right.
Is they structure their contracts to where we are going to have these loaded teams in this, not a tiny window, like 3 to 5 year window, and then we're going to have almost a mandatory reset year or 2 because we have pushed all of those void years forward. The Chiefs have done the exact opposite. They do less void years than anyone in the league. Some would say it's because they don't want to spend money. I think it's because they look at it as we don't ever want to have a punt year when we have Patrick Mahomes on the team. We have a 10-year contention window. So I'm really interested if Jalen ends up becoming the player that you earnestly believe he already is and the player that some people think he can be, how does that change how they, as a team, build out their roster? Like if you have one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league and he's in his, the early-ish part of his career, he's not 30 yet, you shouldn't have like a cap time bomb of the 2030 season, like we're going to be disastrous. But that's one of the reasons, like sometimes you've said, like some of these teams like seem to have different cap rules, and it's because they are pushing things down the road to deal with it. So I'm curious about how that impacts, if he continues on the ascent, how does that impact the way they view, you know what I mean, this year, next year versus the long term, which I think could have positive or negative implications for him.
Not bad. That wasn't too bad.
Okay, thanks. Sorry. I'm glad
They've got third best Super Bowl. Eagles have third best Super Bowl odds this year. Cowboys camp winding down. Micah attended but didn't see any action. His hold-in continued. Jerry Jones told the media that he likes to stir the narrative up, bro, and keep the Cowboys interesting. 365. Here was his response to a reporter's question about contract talks with Micah's camp. Now the Cowboys camp is winding down.
I don't know that necessarily talks will, but we've got a game coming, and he's under contract.
Is there a deadline to know whether Micah Parsons plans to play in Week 1 or not?
No, not at all. You don't have deadlines when you're playing under a contract.
What's preventing you guys from talking right now?
Again, really nothing. We might or might not talk.
There we go. John Machota saying Micah Parsons had no comment for reporters after practice. My mouth is closed. Brew, any justification for Dallas not negotiating with Micah at this point?
There's no justification. There are 3 possible explanations.
Wow.
All right. So the 3 possible explanations. 1, Jerry's playing the drama card and they're going to sign him a week before and, steal the headlines and all that. 2, Jerry feels burned by Dak's contract and Ezekiel Elliott's contract. We didn't get the wins. He might even be looking at Myles Garrett like, yeah, okay, you gave him all this money. You're not even going to make the playoffs, So I'm not going that route. That's another explanation. 3rd explanation, he doesn't really like Micah personally. I hate to put it that way, and look at the guys he's given the huge contracts to. You can go all the way back to Emmitt Smith, but that was kind of a different era, and they were winning. But CeeDee Lamb, Ezekiel Elliott, and Dak. None of them have the personality that could outshine Jerry. Like we talked about yesterday, he wants to be the star of the show, not just have a great show, but be the superstar. Micah, with the podcast, with his stature in the league, with his personality, he actually could outshine Jerry.
That is a hot one.
And so maybe,
That is
I'm just saying these are explanations.
You are giving Micah's podcast doing a lot of work there. How good do you think
Well,
the podcast
no,
is?
but he's traveling to Asia with C.J. Stroud. He's battling sumo wrestlers. I'm just saying
he's certainly
the
one of the
only
most
one.
famous players in the league.
Yeah, like Dak isn't there. Dak says all the right things.
Yeah, I guess so.
CeeDee's not there. I'm just saying. So those are the three explanations.
I feel like you're onto something here, Brew. And when you hear the way that he talks about this situation, he's sending a very clear message. It's as clear as it can get. You are under contract.
Yep.
I don't have to negotiate with you. You are under contract. So if you want to start losing money every single week, go ahead and sit out. You want to play hardball and talk about getting traded? Go ahead. I can play hardball too. And the explanation, it could be maybe he doesn't love the player as much as people assume he should love the player. Maybe he doesn't feel like the impact that he's going to have is what it should be for that amount of money and for that position that he's going to have as the highest paid player, non-quarterback. And I think there is an element of him getting burned on those other contracts. He reset a lot of things when he hired Brian Schottenheimer. He did things very differently than he has before this offseason. So for him to dig his heels in now, to me, I could see him saying, you want to sit out and eat that money? Sit out and eat that money. We'll go play games and see how we do.
But here's the problem with the idea that he doesn't want to pay Micah. He claims he agreed to pay him. He claims he agreed to pay him more than we would believe.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that he dug deep on it. So I think there's a fourth potential explanation, bro, which is he's sick of negotiating with people who are better at negotiating than he is.
Oh.
Because here's the thing about the Cowboys. They do typically sign their guys. They haven't signed one of their guys to a deal that 3 years later we're like, man, what a team-friendly deal for that player since the Tyron Smith deal. And Tyron Smith, who might be in the Hall of Fame one day, was a very unique situation. If you guys remember his story, he had some really tough family stuff involving money and relatives. And in my opinion, the team saw that and was like, hey, 8 years, $80 million, whatever it was hard for him to turn down. It instantly became a great value for the team. But the other deals, Sean Lee, they signed him to a deal. He's not healthy after that. Jalen Smith, they signed him to a deal, top of market. He's not healthy. The Zeke you talked about. I would say the Dak deal has not aged great purely by the fact that a bunch of quarterbacks who are better than Dak have signed deals since then, and they can't get more money than him. CD to me is fair for both sides, but it's not like the Cowboys got a bargain. And so Jerry maybe, whether it's subconscious or conscious, like, man, I had a really good time negotiating with Micah Parsons impromptu in March. I'm not going to have as good of a time with David Mulugeta now that TJ and Myles Garrett have been signed. And so that would be the explanation.
Or maybe it feels like he's being pushed too far. Maybe he's just at the point where he's like, yeah, I dug deep. I may do a great offer. You don't like that? Fine.
Can I counter that, though, Coach? Here's the problem. I would feel like that is possible if they had one phone call. But according to Jerry and to Micah and essentially to Mulugeta, who hasn't talked much, but he did do a radio interview,